Welcome to this explainer. We're skipping the polite intros today because we're diving straight into the intense, do-or-die drama of a company that was literally standing on the absolute edge of extinction. We're looking at a specific moment in time where the survival of what is now one of the most valuable car companies on the planet wasn't measured in years or even months. It was measured in hours. Picture this terrifying reality for a second. Imagine the suffocating atmosphere inside the company back in 2008. Tesla wasn't some rising tech giant yet. It was a desperate, exhausted team buckling under this massive mounting pressure. Everyone genuinely feared for their livelihoods. People were coming into the office, not even knowing if their key cards would still work or if their paychecks would actually clear that week. It was this visceral, emotional struggle just to keep the lights on, while suppliers were aggressively demanding payments that, well, they simply weren't there. At their absolute lowest point, they had enough cash reserves left to survive for just a few days. I mean, stop and really think about that level of existential dread. You've got a massive manufacturing operation, hundreds of families relying on you, and a ridiculously complex supply chain, all hanging by a tiny thread that's about to snap right before the weekend. It's basically the ultimate nightmare scenario for any team. Section 1. Flashback to 2003. A bad idea in a gasoline world. To really grasp this crisis, we've got to jump back to 2003. Now, we all know the EV landscape today, but back then, building an electric car wasn't just hard, it was literally a punchline. EVs were almost universally mocked as these slow, wildly impractical golf carts. The whole industry was completely dominated by century-old giants like Toyota, Ford, and GM, and the battery tech was just absurdly expensive to scale. So Tesla's mission to come in and prove everyone wrong, it seemed incredibly, almost laughably naive. Nobody took them seriously. Their entire existence hinged on one single, wildly ambitious project, the Tesla Roadster. Now, this was a sleek electric sports car built explicitly to prove the concept and shatter that stereotype of the slow, boring EV. And it looked phenomenal on the outside. But beneath that beautiful exterior, they were hiding massive, compounding problems that were threatening to just tear the young company apart from the inside out. Section 2. The Roadster struggle, when reality hits hard. The sheer physical creation of this car put a crushing emotional weight on that early engineering team. They were battling these seemingly unsolvable battery overheating issues, which, let's be honest, is a terrifying prospect for a consumer car. Manufacturing delays were totally out of control, quality control was struggling, and frustrated early adopters were getting impatient. But the absolute worst part? Every single unit cost them more to make than it actually sold for. The invisible, terrifying reality was that Tesla was burning through cash way, way faster than they could ever earn it back. Section 3. The 2008 financial collapse, the worst possible timing. And then, just as their internal struggles were absolutely peaking, the worst possible external disaster hit, the 2008 global economic collapse. It was this rapid, terrifying domino effect. Global banks failed over a matter of months. The broader markets crashed in weeks, and investment funding just vanished in days. For Tesla, this meant making payroll was suddenly threatened within hours. Their entire financial ecosystem evaporated overnight, turning a really tough startup challenge into a bare-knuckle, brutal fight for daily survival. Section 4. The last line of defense. Fighting extinction. Behind the scenes, the emotional struggle was at a breaking point. Elon Musk wasn't just watching Tesla bleed out, his other company, SpaceX, was also facing total collapse right around the same time from a series of failed rocket launches. I mean, just imagine the psychological toll of watching both of your life's works spiraling toward bankruptcy at the exact same time. It's almost unimaginable. Yet, with confidence completely collapsing everywhere, they managed to scrape together a final, miraculous $40 million funding round right at the end of 2008, and it was heavily backed by Musk personally, basically emptying out whatever resources he had left to his name. It wasn't a victory. It was survival by seconds, not months. Let that really sink in for a moment. There were no champagne-popping celebrations when that money came through. The team was pulled back from the absolute abyss by the slimmest possible margin. They were utterly exhausted, completely battered, and frankly, still deeply vulnerable. Section 5. The turning point. A radical new vision. But here's the thing. Even after surviving by literal seconds, just staying alive wasn't a long-term business plan. They had to execute a massive make-or-break pivot. They had to move away from the old vision, that expensive, slow-to-produce, niche sports car built just to prove a point. Instead, they gambled absolutely everything on a new vision, the Model S. This was a luxury sedan built for scale, built for mainstream adoption, and designed to fundamentally change the world. It was a massive risk, because if the Model S failed, there's no way they were surviving a second crisis. Section 6. The Breakthrough. Shocking the world. And wow, when they finally introduced the Model S in 2012, it completely shocked the world and shattered every preconceived notion out there. It wasn't just electric, it was crazy fast, incredibly stylish, and had this unprecedented long-range capability that pretty much killed range anxiety on the spot. Plus, it featured advanced software that traditional legacy automakers just couldn't match. It single-handedly turned the idea of an electric compromise into a highly desirable luxury. Basically overnight, Tesla went from a battered survivor trying to make payroll to a serious global threat. Section 7. The Lesson. Refusing to disappear. So, what does this all mean? Ultimately, Tesla's story is not some sterilized, clean textbook case study of smooth success. Not at all. It's a gritty, emotional narrative of near-death experiences, grueling hours, and agonizing uncertainty. The key takeaway here is that they didn't win by being perfect. And they certainly didn't win by entirely avoiding failure. They won through sheer stubborn endurance. They survived the absolute worst of 2008 just long enough to completely transform and rewrite the entire future of transportation. I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought to ponder long after this explainer wraps up. How many of the biggest, most world-changing innovators out there were not actually built from a straight line of success, but were instead forged in the fires of the moments they almost didn't exist? It really changes how you look at the struggles of any ambitious new venture, doesn't it? Thanks so much for joining me to unpack this incredible survival story. And remember to always keep questioning the real history behind the companies changing our world.